Okay, it's time. Good morning, everyone. My name is Henrietta Wiggins, and I am the Vice Chair of the Tri-County SCORE chapter. I would like to welcome everyone to today's workshop, which is titled Dear Resilient Woman, It Is Okay Not to Be Okay. Today's workshop is part two of our five-part Women Small Business Virtual Workshop series, four strategies to help your small business adjust to the new norm. A little bit about SCORE. SCORE is a national nonprofit organization with 350 chapters and over 13,000 members throughout the United States. SCORE is dedicated to helping small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We are a resource partner to the Small Business Administration. In collaboration with today's seminar, we have Tri-County SCORE, Bucks County, and Westchester and Delaware counties. We are here to service all business owners and entrepreneurs throughout our counties. Our chapters are made up from members with experiences in all areas of business. We offer free mentoring service as well as educational seminars and workshops. Our webinar will close sharply today at 10 a.m. this morning. Please put your Q&A in the chat box. Our moderator for today's workshop is Erin Jewel Geist. Erin is the executive mindset and growth coach of Erin Jewel Consulting. As the executive coach, she brings proven success in executing strategic initiatives by enhancing productivity. Throughout her career, Erin has held numerous leadership roles within large matrix organizations. She is a dynamic and multifaceted personnel. Good morning, Erin. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Good morning, Henrietta. Thank you so much. When I hear the bio read out loud, it makes me chuckle a little bit. I've done a lot of things so far in my career, but there's nothing really that unique at all about my story. I am every woman in so many ways. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I am certainly not the star of today's show, but Denise Williams is here this morning to talk with us about something very important. And it may seem trivial, this idea that it's okay to not be okay. It may seem like, oh, yes, I get that. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, we are absolutely so far. We have so much work to do in this area of acceptance, of embracing, acknowledging, increasing our awareness, and allowing ourselves to be educated and have the mindset it takes to really feel okay with not being okay. And I have to tell you, it's such a pleasure to be able to support Denise this morning as she walks you through this journey and this presentation. Denise has an absolutely outstanding background. She is an amazing human, and I'm so excited to continue to connect and get to know her. Denise's career starts at Vanguard in leadership development. So what I'm about to share with you over the next 30 seconds or so, how her career has completely focused entirely on personal, professional, and leadership development the entire time. She has been consistent with her calling, and it is a wonderful gift to be able to tap into those gifts and skill sets so early on in one's career. And Denise started her career with Vanguard Leadership Development. Those of you who are not familiar with the company, it is a large and incredible company in the finance sector, and it has a very diverse portfolio. I personally know a lot of leaders at that company, and Denise was behind the development of a lot of those leaders. And her career continues in the personal and professional development space as a professor, a university professor, and then moving forward even further into the social services sector. So Denise has somehow managed to cover this gamut of incredible sectors, and she's touched so many lives at this point in her career, leading up to eventually becoming the founder and CEO of her company today, Be Resilient, Healing Through Arts. We're going to learn a little bit more about that today. She has a dual master's in science and human services, as well as leadership and accountability. I mean, you name it. Denise is not only a female leader and pioneer, Denise is also a role model. And not all leaders are role models. So I think we're really in for a treat today. And, without further ado, I would like to introduce Denise and look forward to hearing her share.
Rookie mistake. Thank you, Erin. I've never been introduced before, but I feel like I should be running out of the tunnel. Like, yes, go, get high fives and everything. So thank you. I want to welcome everyone. I'm so excited that you decided to join us today. I am glad that Erin and we get to share this platform together, and that SCORE saw fit that to have this webinar and have this discussion. So thank you, Henrietta. Thank you, Erin. So first, I renamed this presentation, Dear Resilient Soul, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. The reason I renamed it is as I was looking through the attendees, I see that we have men and women on this call today. So I wanted to make sure from the very beginning that everyone knows this is inclusive to everybody. This is for the young, the old at heart. Wait a minute, the young in heart, the old, everybody is included in this discussion. So let me first set the tone for our time together. We have about an hour, a little under an hour now. I am not going to do all the work. So let's just be clear right now. There will be chat, the chat room will be open, and we'll be looking for you to engage in this time. We'll be asking you some engaging questions, and I challenge you to be true to yourself and where you are in this moment so you can get the most from this experience. Today, we're going to discuss a few points. We're just, not a lot, but just a few things that are key. We're going to talk about what makes this year more stressful than any other time in history. We're going to do some self-reflection, some company culture reflection, and then ask ourselves and learn how do you cultivate a resilient mindset within your company? So on a personal level, Erin did such a great job introducing me. I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, well, I don't need to say that. I don't need to say that. Erin said all that. So that's out of the question. But what she didn't tell you was that I am a proud mother as well of two amazing young adults. I have one who is a freshman at Howard University. I have two fur babies. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a proud auntie. And I have been blessed with a great circle of mentors and friends that has helped me throughout that journey that Erin told you about. Now, in true transparency, because I want you guys to understand that this is also me. I wish I could see everyone's reaction. I am stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious, I'm a true introvert. I know how to be an extrovert when needed. I worry a lot, I'm my own worst critic. So everything that you heard in the background in my head, I'm like, ooh, did I really do that? I overanalyze everything. Life has thrown me some curveballs that I've had to navigate, such as illness, loss of jobs, microaggression, death. And I've had to have some come to Jesus moments with myself over the years and within my journey of self-discovery. And this is what has fueled that passion that you heard within my career, that passion to help others, that passion to help others discover their success and their true best. And this is what allows me to be able to speak to you today and encourage you on why it's okay not to be okay. One of my favorite quotes as a leader is, as a leader, you always start where people are before you take them where you want them to go. So in true spirit of that quote, let's see how everyone's doing out there. There's about 85 of you out there. So there's a poll that we're going to take. And let's see where you are in this moment. And if you can see the poll, go ahead and take that. poll. If you like to throw an answer in the chat, Erin will read out your answer. So where are you at this moment? Are you at perfect peace? Are you the little mouse that's a little stressed out? Or you're the cat that's just over it? Where you're at right now? Erin, where are you at?
I would say I'm pretty close to perfect peace at the moment. We have some chats coming in already. So, and we didn't put the poll up, but let's go ahead and do that too, Charlie, if you want to put the first poll up. I would say I'm pretty close to peace. And so we have a handful coming in here. Wow, I love this. I love the vulnerability and the honesty. If you've already answered in the chat, feel free to put it in the poll as well. So we have over it, a little stressed, a little stressed. We have at perfect peace. That's fantastic. Stressed usually, a little stressed, minor stressed, a little stressed and over it, a little stressed, mouse. Somebody put mouse. That's great. I'm the mouse, a little stressed, a little stressed, a little stressed, a little stressed, starting a business, taking care of parents, taking care of a 7-year-old and an 18-month-old. And then we have some of you have answered in the poll as well. And we've got about 19% at perfect peace. We've got about 67% at a little stressed. And then finally, about 14% of you are feeling over it. Over it.
Over it.
Yes.
I feel that over it. So based on these responses, we are all feeling some of the same pressures, worry and uncertainty. Those that are at perfect peace, I strive to be at perfect peace. That is my goal every day, to be at perfect peace. So for the little stressed, okay, I feel you. You guys see these curls today? They were nice and puffy. Okay, I'm a little stressed. By the end of this webinar, they'll be all flat. So I totally understand where you guys are right now. Over it, got it. And wherever you are, it's okay. So let's talk about where these different pieces and how we're going to move you from the over it to finding strategies to come into a little stress, to finding more strategies to find your perfect peace. An article written by Lucinda Southern wrote, "Mental health is the biggest topic of our time and has worsened and heightened because of COVID." I would like to be bold and even expand further on that quote and say that it is heightened not only because of COVID, but because of social unrest, political drama, other social factors have added to that strain. And people are uncomfortable talking about their feelings during this time. Erin, I'm going to ask you, what's your best response when someone says, "Hey, how are you doing?" What do you respond?
The first word that comes to mind is grateful. Usually I'll say grateful for another day to give it another shot.
Okay.
That's generally my response. I know a lot of times people might say fine or okay, good, well, right.
That's my go-to. I'm well.
Right.
I'm doing well, thank you, with a smile. But to be honest, internally, how are we really doing? And who wants to be vulnerable at a Wawa? I go to my Wawa every morning. Who wants to be vulnerable at a Wawa and say, "Yeah, I'm a little stressed today. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to motivate my freshman to do her work. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to rake the leaves in the lawn. Yeah, I'm a little stressed about life." Nobody wants to hear that. They just want a quick response, "I'm well." But that is one of the things that has set our country also back, because we're uncomfortable not talking about our true feelings. Now, I'm not saying at a Wawa, because Wawa is very busy and Wawa is sacred to me. So for everybody that heard that is saying stop and having conversations in Wawa, please take 2 steps back, take those conversations outside of Wawa. However, you should feel comfortable in a space to talk about those feelings. Now, I am very blessed to have a very close circle of girlfriends. And in that circle, we are vulnerable and we say exactly how we feel, unapologetically. And that is one of the strategies that has helped me as I have overcome several things. So let's continue on with some data. 83% of people believe that the future of our nation is a source of stress. If we continue on with some facts, depression is the leading reason for lost work days. So for all those employers out there, when your employees are calling in and saying, I'm not feeling well today, I'm not going to be able to come in. I'll be very honest. When I needed a mental health day from, let's say, the Vanguard group, I did not call in and tell my boss, I'm just not feeling it. I need a mental health day. My kids were sick all the time. The kids are sick because no one can dispute the kids being sick. But if I called in and said, I need a mental health day, back then, it might not have been as accepted because, like, what's a mental health day? Well, what are you stressed out about? Now it's probably more being able to express that is probably more understanding, but being able to do that leaves you in a place of vulnerability. Erin, do you agree?
Oh, 100%, 100%. You've got to expose it. You have to bring it to the light. I mean, if we don't talk about it, we don't move through it. It's that simple.
Thank you. So after doing some research also through the CDC, they have identified some social deterrents of health. And I want to just focus on 3 that are very important. Economic stability, education and access to quality, neighborhood and built environment, and social and community context. So when we think of those in the context of what we have going on in our nation right now, they are huge factors in how someone is moving from day to day. So looking at economic stability, when you think about how people are having to make choices between, are you going to pay the rent or are you going to eat? And I'm just taking a break because even though we are all business people, professionals, starting up companies, already have established companies, I am sure we've all had to have a moment to sit down and just reflect, how are we going to successfully move forward in this moment in time? So if we as professionals are looking at this, imagine the impact that it's having on our clients, on our employees, on our relationships with vendors, our relationships with others. Imagine that impact. That we're aware that how that impacts us also and how it impacts others. So I want to look at this here. And I want everyone, I'm just going to take time to breathe, probably because I needed to. Because that's a lot to take in. And I just probably brought up some real feelings to some people. Someone just had a deja vu moment of, oh yeah, last week I had to think about this. And that was stressful. Last month, I had to make a decision for my family that was really stressful. It was either my business or my family or my business, whichever way it may go. So what strategies are you using? How are you understanding how this impacts you? Understanding this allows you to lead through a holistic approach driven by social emotional intelligence or social emotional leadership. And this is very important to understand. This awareness is the first step to healing and breaking cycles. Keeping this awareness will help you move forward mindfully and prevent unnecessary repeat lessons of discomfort. For me, this awareness led me to my purpose and for higher healing. Being able to understand that what I'm feeling and how communities, employees, and that it's okay not to be okay. Actually, no one should be okay in the moment. If you are okay, I would be to say that you're not a responsible leader. because, and I know that I might have lost some participants. Did my participation go down, Aaron, when I said that statement? I feel like I might have lost some people when I said that.
No, you're good. No, we're with you. We got you.
So
Keep going.
Okay. So in order to be a responsible leader, you have to be in touch with no one is okay right now. And what does that look like? If you're not in touch with it, then your employees are not able to be in touch with it. Your community is not able to be in touch with it. Your relationships are not able to be in touch with it. Your networking is not able to be in touch with it. So the mindset starts with you. I'm just taking a moment so that everyone can let that sink in, because that's a lot of responsibility. Do you agree, Erin?
It's a responsibility. Absolutely. I agree. I also believe it's a privilege, and it gets to be, it gets to be a privilege. And when we look at it as a privilege, it's something that we can choose to enjoy a little bit more eventually.
Eventually. After you get the right strategies on how to understand it's a privilege. One of my biggest, and I'm going to share a story here. One of the best mentors that I had was a manager that I had, who and I was terrible. When I first started working, I didn't start at this level. I was, and you all know, when you start working and you're young, you have your own ideas going into a company, and you're just going to change the world. That's not realistic, and that's not how it happens. So, but I had the best manager that allowed me to be vulnerable, and he was vulnerable with his feelings of how when he was not okay, and how I was vulnerable, and allowed me to be vulnerable and share things with him. He was a mentor from the time I started Vanguard, and even now he's no longer at Vanguard, and I still follow him on Facebook and just see what he's doing, because he too has taken people under his wing and mentored them. But the best part about that mentorship process with that supervisor was the fact that he had no problem at all telling me, that's not okay, but this is okay. And we had a relationship that allowed for that communication. He made it comfortable so that we were able I was able to be vulnerable in those moments and have that conversation, and I was able to grow, and I was able to move forward. So I just wanted to share that, because I think a lot of you, if you think through your networks, and you think through your career history, and you think through your journey, there's somebody there that has given you tools that you probably could circle back to and say, oh, yes, this is what I need to pull out of that toolbox and use those tools that I learned years ago, because this is what's going to support me through this time. So let's take a break here. And I'm going to ask another question. What does not okay look like to you? I have some questions out there. I have some words out there: easily triggered, exhaustion, insomnia. There's a poll for everyone to answer and for us to get some feedback.
And then Denise, there's a comment in the chat. Somebody said, I feel you, Vanguard retiree here. So I wanted to call that shout out to your attention.
Woo-woo.
All right, everyone. So go ahead and see if you can make a choice here. What does not okay look like? Some of these words, if the word that you're thinking of is not showing up in this poll, feel free to put it in the chat box. But give yourself permission to answer this and get it on paper and put it out there so that we can acknowledge it and move through it together this morning, lightening our hearts for the day.
Thank you, Erin. I'll wait just another second.
All right, so we have a comment here, feeling a lot of physical anxiety symptoms, sleep issues, headaches, racing thoughts. Thank you for that. Absolutely. We can connect with that. All right, so we have the poll results here. So going down the list, we have a fair split across the board. Some of you easily triggered, little motivation, exhaustion, insomnia, emotionally overwhelmed seems to be the most commented and the most selected. And finally, amplified anxiety. Somebody else responded in the chat box, all. Forgetting about self-care is what somebody else shared as far as what does not okay look like. Absolutely, all of the above.
Great. And you know, it's great that you are in this moment being vulnerable. In this moment, you took that poll and you were honest with how you're feeling. Because someone might have said, oh, I don't feel any of those. Not at all. Let me tell you what exhaustion looks like for me. So again, I want to make sure I'm very transparent. I don't want you to sit here and tell you guys, I have the blueprint to fix your problems. No, I don't. What I do have, though, is the blueprint that could be a catalyst for your journey to start your healing. So exhaustion for me. I can get up at 7 o'clock. I have my family responsibilities I need to take care of. I do my work. By 4 o'clock, I can be in the bed, in my pajamas, underneath the pillow, underneath the blanket, and sleep until 7:30 the next morning, not 7:30 at night, 7:30 the next morning when I have to wake up. My body, when I am exhausted, I physically shut down. My young adults are like, hey, mom, you gonna cook? Hey, no, I'm asleep. I'm exhausted. And it really has become something that I've had to work on because I had to figure out what triggers in my life was causing me to be to drain me so quickly. Emotionally overwhelmed, little motivation. And these are not things that earlier on in my life that I was able to identify. It took some come to Jesus moments for me because easily triggered, I've always been someone that was, I'll tell you how it is. I mean, I always say I'm someone's cup of tea or I'm not. But at some point, I found that my fuse was just a little shorter. So where I would normally extend grace and mercy, I was just a little bit more triggered to be like a little touchy. So I had to come to terms for myself, what does that look like? So for you in this moment to be able to notice these things, when you see these things pop up on a regular, on a day, you'd be like, ooh, that might not have been the situation. That might have been my body reacting to everything that's going on in the universe. And it's okay. It's okay. Let me take a break here. And this is my favorite part of the conversation. I get uncomfortable sometimes having those conversations that we just had, because I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable. But I also know that, as Erin said, it is a privilege and part of my responsibility to just bring that awareness. Because if we as a community, Erin in her field, Henrietta in her field, if we as a community all start cultivating this mindset and making these words normal, making these conversations normal, being able to say how you feel, making that an everyday, hey, Erin, you look beautiful today. Are you okay? And Erin being vulnerable enough to me and be able to say, you know what, Denise, I have a migraine. I had a rough night. I didn't sleep well, but I'm okay. That's okay. That's a start in the conversation. So in the chat room, I would like for you to say, and this is something I didn't put this out there, Erin. No, this is something just an ad hoc ad. In the chat room, I would like for you to type in one thing. Instead of saying, I'm well, I'm here, I'm doing good, what is one response that you can say today when someone says, how are you doing? That is truly honest, that truly allows you to be honest in that moment. Now, you may not use it. You may say it in the back of your mind because you may not be ready for this yet. But what's one thing And the reason I want you to write it out in the chat room, because when you put it on paper or when you type it out or you put it into words, then you can make those words become actions. So then you can start to, once you have that, when someone asks you how you're doing, you had the choice now to respond by saying, I'm well, or you can pull that statement in the back of your head that you're putting into words right now and say, you know what? I'm going to be vulnerable in this moment. Take a second, write in the chat, and let's see what some things that you can come up with. And everyone may not respond to this, so you might be helping someone else on this call. There's about 85 people on this call. You might be helping someone else. So I challenge you to be transparent.
All right, so the answers are already coming in. Fantastic. I feel overwhelmed. Honestly, I'm struggling, but I'm getting by day. I'm struggling, but working through it. And oh, can you repeat the question somebody asked?
So I would like for you to take a moment to put in the chat room a response that you would give someone. So if someone says, hey, how are you doing today? Instead of saying, I'm well, I'm good, type in something that would actually be a true replica of how you're feeling.
Perfect. And we have some more answers here. Thanks, Denise. We have some more answers here. Overcoming a migraine this morning, but also getting ready for a strategy and logistics meeting. Yeah, that sounds intense. I'm taking one day at a time. I am scared about the future of this country and the impact on business. I'm in a storm, but getting there. Very fortunate to keep going as a business and very blessed. God takes care of all of us. When I'm worried about bills, I pray about it and money. And all of a sudden, woo, we got a few coming in here. Here we go. All of a sudden it happens. I always have looked outside of the box for my company. So we are doing more of that this year. I'm tired, didn't get much sleep, but thanks for asking. I am present in today. I'm struggling, but about to do some self-care to get me through. I would argue that this, or I would invite you to consider this morning's session as some self-care too, right? Ups and downs, good and not so good days, but grateful not to be worrying about finances right now. I'm blessed, but I do have moments of anxiety that I need to trust God with. Doing more seminars like this, you and me both. That's what we have so far. Great feedback, everybody.
That's great feedback. And listen to that, how people are being transparent and vulnerable in that chat, Erin. That's huge.
I mean, it's fantastic. It's what we get to do, right? It's a privilege. One more I've got, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed and stressed, but God is in control. He has blessed my family greatly.
And so people are even saying, this is how I'm feeling, but I'm so thankful that I'm able to, or I'm thankful. So we're acknowledging the feelings, but we're also giving gratitude at the same time. So I'd like to share with everybody right now something that's very close to my heart. And I rarely let people into my space as far as my family, but this is something that I feel that my family laid a foundation. As a child, I didn't understand why. I thought that it was mean torture because it was work in my eyes. But now as an adult, my parents laid a foundation that I would like to share with you guys. My father and mother were beekeepers, which made my sister and me beekeepers. I don't know if you've ever, whatever your parents did, you did. So, when you did the church functions, we all go into the church functions. We're doing the community baseball or whatever we're doing. We're all going as a family. If mom signed up for something, that meant everybody was doing it. So I kept that tradition in my family. My kids are very upset about that now. They'll appreciate it later. But this is what my parents did for me. So while I didn't exactly love the task as a child, upon further reflection as an adult, I have found a newfound love and understanding for the honeybee. So I want to be very clear, because I know there's people out there that's like, ew, we don't like bugs. I got it. I hear you. The bees that come around, ew, the bees are nagging. I hear you. I got it. We need to make a clear distinction between a bee and a yellow jacket. In the picture, that is a bee. Look how beautiful that bee is. She has a beautiful, because that's a drone. He has beautiful fur. His body is just like beautiful, beautiful source of nature. A yellow jacket, not so pretty. It's ugly. It has the beaten eyes, is bright yellow, and they nag. The only thing a honeybee wants to do is find the pollen, get back to the hive, put the pollen in the hive so that he can create, so that honey can be made, and so that he can protect the hive and then do it again. The honeybee is one of the most resilient insects in nature. So there's two parts to being a beekeeper. There's the hive maintenance, and then there's the extraction of the honey. So my dad maintained the hive, and my mom maintained the extraction of the honey and all the things that took place inside. Now, because my dad's was a gentleman, I'm going to tell you about my mom's piece first, because he would have said for my mom to go first. Inside the house, we would have hive frames, and they would be ready in the event that my dad had to capture a swarm. Now, this meant that the frames were ready. They had wax in there. So I don't know if you've ever, what the beekeeper is holding, they're called frames. And there's wax in there, and the bees actually put the pollen in there, and they do all their work. And then we take the honey, we take a scraper, and we scrape the top layer off. And underneath that, there would be honey. And my mom would extract that. And an extractor, we put it in this big machine. It goes round and round, and then out pours this beautiful golden honey. My mom would make sure the hives were ready as she would extract the honey and bottle it. And my dad would make sure that he had the frames and stuff outside for the bees. The downside of having this in the basement was sometimes it would draw worms that were relentless in their effort to get to the fresh wax. It didn't matter what my parents did. They could take the boxes, put it inside boxes. They could tape the boxes up. They could put the boxes on wood so that they weren't on the floor. It didn't matter. These worms would find their way. They could smell that wax. Isn't that how life troubles is? No matter what we do, troubles will find us. So it's not about avoiding troubles. It becomes important to determine how we're going to overcome those troubles. Now, let me back up and tell you about my dad's part. My dad's role, and I helped him with that. He had this whole suit, and I had a suit. I had a hat that was kind of like a church hat. It was like a big brim, and then it had a net that comes over it. It was real adorable. Now it's adorable. It was not adorable back then, but now when I look back, I was absolutely adorable. So he would retrieve swarms. And if you're not familiar with bees terminology, swarms are when there's two, so there can only be one queen. In every household, there's one queen. So if another queen is born, then the bees that are loyal to the one queen will remain with the one queen. The bees that are loyal to the other one will swarm and make another hive. So when the bees swarm, you have to go retrieve them and put them in a new hive. My job was to create smoke. So if you look by the beekeeper's leg, there's a little thing that looks like an accordion. And I'm pointing like you guys can see me. You can't see me. I have to get used to this setup. But there is a little accordion. It's like white and silver. And what happens is you squeeze that, and my dad would put paper and stuff in it and light a match, and it would create smoke. My job was to continue to puff the smoke. Now, you couldn't do it fast. You couldn't go, you had to be very slow and sturdy. This smoke created would calm the bees and mask the smell of me and my dad, so my dad could do the work. Be resilient strives. And what I do is strive to be the smoke in somebody's life so that you're able to move forward and be successful, to help give you strategies to calm your storm. So to somebody, your smoke might be your best friend. Your smoke might be other things, but the smoke is what you need in order to start your healing. I wish I could see an amen or something like this. Aaron, can you give me an amen or something so I can feel like that? Let me know.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen, Aho.
Are you
Beautiful.
familiar with were you familiar with the honeybees versus the yellow jackets, Erin?
I have some awareness. You know, Albert Einstein has the quote that if all bees were to die, that humanity would last about 4 years. So I have an appreciation and a reverence for the work that bees do in pollination. And we've got some amens and yes, sis happening in the chat box here. I want to call attention to that too. So, but beautiful share. Wow, I love it. Great analogy.
Thank you. And that takes us right into this self-care, because while the bees could have taken care of themselves, my dad helped them with some self-care. So let's go ahead and look at this. What does self-care look like to you? So again, we're going right into the chat box. I'm going to be really transparent with you guys. Self-care looks like drinking my cranberry juice out of a pretty cup. That's why I have my cranberry juice here. And I'm telling you, it's cranberry juice for all those out there that wasn't sure. Yes, my cranberry juice. Self-care for me looks like, you know what? Sometimes I need a reminder. So I put my little sticky notes everywhere and I write an affirmation statement to myself. Hey, Denise, you're okay. Hey, Denise, you look good today. Denise, don't worry about that extra 20 pounds. Eat the cake. You know, there's stuff like that. I write stuff right here. I keep reminders. I encourage myself. I even find myself doing the same thing for my children. So as I was preparing for my daughter to go to Howard, she loves popcorn and she had braces for like 2 years. So she couldn't eat popcorn for 2 years and she was devastated. So now I think she really eats a bag of popcorn a day to make up for all that lost time. But what I did was I opened the box of popcorn, and on each of the popcorn microwavable bags, I put a word of encouragement. I said, you're doing great. You got this. You can make it. We love you. Tigger misses you. That's our fur baby. I said, I even put something that was like, did you call your mama today? Because I knew there would be some days that I wanted her to call me. But I found that putting that into practice, not only in my life, but in my children's life, helps them to establish ways to practice self-care. I also do this. So I love to doodle. I'm a creative mind. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I don't like journal well, but I doodle and I draw, and then I like to write in cursive. So I do a lot of things around, you know, making sure that this was about trust. And this is when I started Be Resilient. And I just said, trust yourself, trust your gut. Because I was having some second thoughts about if this was where I was supposed to be at this time. So what do you do for self-care? Go ahead in that chat box. And let's I like this quote. It says, an empty lantern provides no light. Self-care is the fuel that allows your light to shine brightly. Erin, what are they saying about what do they do for self-care?
Beautiful. What a great quote. So we have kicking it off with cranberry, cherry, or pomegranate juice in a wine glass. Sit down in my favorite chair with the lights low and just be by myself to think quietly. Taking care of your whole self emotionally, physically, spiritually, and guilty pleasures. Go for a walk or just take time to be by myself. Read. Somebody else has shared read. Light candles. Beautiful. We have herbal tea and a scented 3-wick candle. Yes.
Yes.
That sounds lovely.
I have my candles lit back here.
We got 3 wicks, the trifecta. Here we go. Exercise, shower, separating myself from everyone else, husband and 3 boys in the house needing something from me. Right. Walking every day if I can. Jazz, wine, fireplace, in-home spa day. That sounds lovely. Prayer, cook, massage, family, friends, laughter, yoga, nature, walk. Yes, yes, yes. Weekly fresh flowers. Yes. Get in the car and just drive. Absolutely.
I actually need to write down some of these suggestions. My goodness.
You and me both. Oh, here we go. And daily practices, meditation, journaling, spiritual study, cardio and yoga practice, and chocolate, of course. We've got singing while working on a project or baking, Champagne and Grey's Anatomy, brought a hot tub to get me through this, bought a hot tub to get me through this, walk my dog daily, pray and meditate daily, and massage once a month. Fantastic.
For those people that brought a hot tub to get you through this, I mean, I can open my circle just a little bit bigger. Can I be a friend? I want a hot tub, Erin.
Well, it's funny. I was driving with my husband the other day, and there was a big pickup truck with a hot tub in the back. And I said that to him. I said, you know what? I bet you a family has just invested in a hot tub because they're not going anywhere this winter. So maybe that was your hot tub. Yes, your Vanguard friend. So there you go. That hot tub is your Vanguard friend. So you're all set here.
I'm good. So that's good.
Perfect.
I got a friend that is. I'm there. It's probably someone that I need to visit. I haven't seen in a long time. I bet that's somebody. So I love so many of you and that have these self-care routines already. That's great. Now let's think about how the lack of self-care routines can impact your work performance, relationships, and decision-making. So while it's great that while we're on this call, that we each have, something that we're doing, isn't it impactful to think about what about our employees or our coworkers that don't have a self-care routine, that think that self-care is selfish? There was a point in my life where I can tell you that I didn't have a good self-care routine. Why? Because I had 2 babies. My son was in baseball, wrestling, soccer, marching band. And then and I did make them go to church. I had to think about that some people would really, if I didn't throw that in there, they did go to church too. And then my daughter was dance, music, soccer. She had a short-lived baseball. She wasn't really into the softball thing. We liked it, but we didn't like it. But she was swimming, Then I had my family here to take care of. It was so much. I didn't have time. I was time managing schedules of their life. I was raising little humans. And the little humans, I thought that was my self-care. Oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because as a mom, I'm taking care of my family. That had nothing to do with self-care. And there are moms out there right now and businesswomen out there right now that's like, I am practicing self-care because I'm doing what's best for my family by running my business, by taking care of my family, by getting home and cooking every day. And I'm going from 9 to 5. And yes, I am meeting those goals. Somebody's out there is like, yes, I'm meeting those goals. But what did you do for yourself? And for yourself does not mean what did you do for your family? Erin, what did you do for yourself this morning?
Well, every day starts with prayer. So started with prayer, went to the gym, went for a nice run, wore a mask the whole time, not to worry, and came back, showered, had a really nice breakfast, hung out with the kids for a little bit. Days start at 5 most days. So it's been a beautiful morning so far. I had some quiet time. I was able to sit in silence for a few minutes before hopping on this morning. So it's been a good day. Yeah.
So Erin, your morning started, that's beautiful. I expect you to just say I drank some coffee. So overachiever, you went over and beyond of what I expected you to say.
Oh yeah.
But
100%.
For me,
that's me.
I'm not exercising. I don't know if anybody remembers the Bill Cosby episode where it was like, Dad is great. He gave us chocolate cake. I'm the person that gets the chocolate cake for breakfast. Like, yeah, that's my self-care. Okay. But let's talk about giving ourselves permission. So I want everybody on this call to say these things. I give myself permission to retreat, refuel, and reboot. And sometimes I know someone's on the call like, oh, that's so basic. We said we do self-care. Yeah, but sometimes you have to give yourself permission and you need to say it out loud. So say it out loud. I give myself permission to retreat, refuel, and reboot. Before I go deeper into those 3 areas, there's this one quote, I have it here. It says, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. I don't know. Think about it. You know, who has a little one that's like, I can't get this toy to work, and they bang it up and down. Hey, and you're like, no, hitting the toy is not going to get it to work. Same concept though. If you hit it or you unplug it, it'll start working again eventually, including our soul. So retreat. Take time for you each day. What does that look like? Take 1 minute for you each day. My family laughs at me because sometimes I'll come home and I will sit in my car for 10 minutes. That's my time. I listen to my music. I don't have to hear the kids arguing about what they want to hear. I don't care. I listen to my Kenny G. I listen to my gospel. I listen to whatever I need to listen to give myself 10 minutes just for me. It also avoids me hearing the fussing that's going to go on when you have kids coming right into the house, because they always fuss. I don't know if anyone has teenagers that as soon as they run in the house, they're fussing or they're hungry, what's for dinner? Nobody wants to hear all that. So I take 10 minutes to myself each time. What do you do to refuel? Read, write, paint, photography. Someone once told me clean. That's not how I refuel, but if that's how you do it, reboot, sleep, exercise. Erin, you said you're doing yoga, you're walking. So I put you there, Erin, there's your stuff. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to eat the cake. Okay, that's how I'm going to reboot. I'm going to eat the cake and then I'm going to sleep.
Oh, I eat the cake too, Denise. I eat the cake too. Don't you worry about that. I have plenty of cookies, chocolate, cake. Absolutely. And I'm not afraid to have cake before 10 a.m. I'm not afraid to have chocolate before 10 a.m. on certain days too. Who knows? Today might be one of those days.
Sometimes you got to do it. So I'll share another story with you guys. I was going through something really crazy at the time, and I found this recipe to make chocolate chip cookies. And let me tell you, I made chocolate chip cookies for everybody. The church had chocolate chip cookies. My family had chocolate chip cookies. My neighbors had chocolate chip cookies. That's just how I was releasing whatever was ever going on in that moment. And that was part of my self-care. It is important, and I can't say it enough. Whether you're getting a chuckle out of my little side stories, or if you're not relating at all, take a step back to just think about the bottom line of what I'm trying to convey. Self-care. Self-care is not selfish. For anybody, and I don't want to specifically say a woman, but I'm just going to speak for myself right now. But this message is for everybody. For anybody who is a parent, a leader, a community activist, an employee, whatever your role is, sometimes it feels selfish to take time away from your responsibilities to take care of you. But it's not. Because if you don't take care of you, then you will not be able to fulfill those responsibilities. Erin, I saw you unmuted yourself.
I did, Denise. I think this is a great time to check in. Number one, because we have a question. Number two, we've got about 5 minutes left. So I want to make sure that we have a chance to possibly answer this question and share any additional points that you want to share to wrap up. So you tell me, you want the question first, or you want to wind it down for a second here? The question might get answered.
Okay, well, let me just finish up these slides. I kind of got off base a little bit. So let's go ahead and finish up these slides, because there's some important things here. So how do we cultivate a resilient mindset within your organization? So let's start thinking about our businesses. We provide outlets. One of the things to consider is to provide outlets of self-care within the work environment. So there are organizations that are saying, hey, we're going to give 2 to 3 mental health days. That's great. Colleges and universities are doing that as well. But how many of you have received a mental health day to still do things for your family and not take care of yourself? So that defeats the purpose of the mental health days. You can cultivate this resilient mindset by taking it's a holistic approach that shows that you're concerned about your employee and not just your employee's bottom line. And that goes a long way. Fostering a resilient culture helps overcome that adversity. And I'm going to address the elephant in the room, because resilient is spelled with a Z. And I know for the OCD people on this call, they're like, why is it spelled with a Z? When resilient is spelled with an S, it goes against the definition of resilient. It makes it seem like life is smooth, like you don't have to overcome anything. When you spell it with a Z, the Z artistically shows you that you're bouncing back, you're overcoming things. You have to go through something in order to finish making that Z. And that is the true definition of resilience. So that is why it's spelled with a Z. Let me just tell you a little bit about creative art wellness workshops and why they would be something that would be good within your organization. They would help ease social anxiety, burnt out, and stress. They allow your employees and yourself a moment of reflection on mounting emotional burdens at home and in the workplace. It would help bring the focus on pure relationships that may be impacted by the burnout or unconscious biases. And it would create a safe space before having difficult conversations. So this would be a catalyst to an organization's change or having the conversations. And I'm putting it in the context of an organization, but as we're starting to shut down again, and the CDC is getting stricter guidelines. Pennsylvania is starting to say, we don't want you to have more than 10 people together. This is something that you can even do with a family, because you need to be able to have techniques for them as well. I see Henrietta unmute herself. Henrietta, I got one more slide.
Okay.
So here are some possible outlets, and they're just different things that you can think through. And this presentation will be available, but let's just conclude. Your goal is to be at perfect peace, but it's okay to be over it. Give yourself permission to retreat, refuel, and reboot. Strive to cultivate a resilient mindset within your personal life that will carry over into your leadership style, and find ways to encourage self-care within the workplace. And there's my contact information, but I want to leave you with this. May all you've been through be reused for a higher purpose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Erin. Wonderful job. Denise, outstanding. And we also want to thank our technical support person, Charlie Morris. And we had a sponsor today, which was Jackie Gleason and Associates. Remember that we have upcoming webinars. The next one is Wednesday, December 16th, and it will be the SBA. They're going to talk about what coming programs in 2021. You can also find more out about SCORE by going on our websites for Tri-County, Bucks County, Western and Delaware counties. If you would like to have a SCORE mentor, please contact us. We have volunteer opportunities available, as well as subject matter experts or workshop presenters. So please contact us, and thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.